if everybody wants to go ahead and throw their names and chat information in, that would be great.
Yes. Where do you put that?
And are you seeing we will begin shortly?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
And feel free to put where you work and your email with it as well, just so that everybody knows who you are. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. We appreciate that. We got somebody turning on their AI, which is fabulous. And I am going to go ahead and we got more AI. I don't know if it's more than one person doing AI.
And your names in chat, I'm not real experienced at this. Where do you put that?
If you go to the chat bubble up on the top,
Okay,
it'll
hang
open the
on.
chat screen.
Chat bubble, yes, got it. Okay. Okay. And then there we go. Thank you.
And October is Manufacturing Month. So congratulations. We are now in October. It still feels like summer, but we are in October and it is Manufacturing Month. So congratulations to all our manufacturers. It's a busy month. The vision is to educate our youth and job seekers and our career changers about the career opportunities in manufacturing. We have tons of tours in our facilities and within our community, and we want to acknowledge and celebrate those manufacturers. So we do have a link there for careerforcemn.gov/industry and manufacturing, and we'll throw that link in there for you as well, so you guys can definitely participate and check out what's all going on with Manufacturing Month and throughout the state of Minnesota. Some of the main activities you can see here, we have a couple of virtual magazines as well as some other items that are going on. So I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody until they're speaking, just so we don't have some background noise. And then we have some presentations. We have some different kinds of blogs that are out there. Of course, today is our Workforce Wednesday. And then we have some career activities and events going on and job fairs. We also work closely with our Minnesota State Advanced Manufacturing Center of Excellence. They do a ton of webinars, and a lot of the tours are also listed on their webpage as well. So thank you for everybody joining today. It's going to be a great day, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over to Jessica.
Thank you, Della. Hello, everybody, and welcome to October. As Della mentioned, that it's Manufacturing Month, and we are so excited about all of the activities and tours and things that are happening across the state today. I do want to say, even though it's Manufacturing Month, the content that we're talking about today is going to crossover sectors. So it is agnostic when it comes to these resources that we're going to be talking about today. So just wanted to point that out. You should stay here, even if you're not a manufacturer. We are really excited that you're here, and we're looking forward to our discussion focused on enhancing employee skills with incumbent worker, on-the-job training, and other grant-funded training. So manufacturing, it's pretty amazing. It's one of the largest sectors in our Minnesota economy. It accounts for a significant portion of the gross state product, typically around 13 to 15%. In terms of economic impact, manufacturing supports hundreds of thousands of jobs directly and indirectly. Manufacturing jobs in Minnesota tend to pay above the state average and are often skilled jobs that don't always require a four-year degree, providing a strong career pathway. It's a great way to get started in your career. In short, manufacturing is the backbone of our Minnesota economy, supporting well-paying jobs, driving exports, fostering innovation, and sustaining rural communities. Its broad impact makes it vital, not only for our economy, but socially and strategically as well. My name is Jessica Miller, and I'm the Director of Workforce Strategy for the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, and we're really happy to have you with us today. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining us. If you are returning, thank you for joining us again. To kick things off, if you haven't done so already, I'm seeing lots of people popping them in there already. If you know the role, please let us know who you are, your role, where you work, and what's your favorite item that is Minnesota manufactured? And it's okay if you need to do a quick Google search. Pop that in the chat. We'd love to hear that. So our team of consultants work regionally, which means that each consultant will have a slightly different way that they do their work based on the region that they're serving and the employers that they're serving in those regions. But the common core ways that we support employers are identified here. We work with you to identify gaps in your current strategies, ensure that you're connected with your local, regional, and state workforce partners, and we assist you in building strategies that will help attract and retain workforce. And we also share those best practices, which is a huge component of what we're doing here today, is we want the employers to learn from each other and give everybody a platform to be able to share. And that's why we're here. As you'll learn today, our consultation process is rooted and informed by data and developed specifically with your company's needs and goals in mind. We serve as your guide through this process and convene workforce partners for support who are actually on our panel here today, sharing training grant opportunities and continually check in to ensure that progress is being made to assist in making adjustments along the way. So when you work with us, you're automatically connected to a wide network of people and partners who work collaboratively for the success of our state and our regions and our communities so that your business and our workforce can thrive. We do not do this work alone. It takes many people to bring success to these efforts. You'll see on this slide here, we are coming to a close of this year, which is bananas. I can't believe that we are already here. You spoke, we listened, we filled out this year with topics that you were interested in. We're doing the same for 2026, and we hope to have that lineup ready for you next month to be able to start registering for. So if you have any last minute suggestions or topics that you would like us to weave in, now's your chance. Speak up now or forever hold your peace. Feel free to pop that in the chat or to fill out our evaluation at the end of the session here today and let us know what you're thinking. And speaking of that, we really would like you to fill out the evaluation at the end of our time here together today. We'll get that link popped into the chat if it isn't in there already for you. This is your perfect opportunity to share your thoughts on these sessions and let us know what you find valuable. As always, these webinars are recorded and available to view at any time via YouTube, as well as our careerforcemn.gov website, where you will also find recordings and resources from this session, as well as all of our previous sessions. We will, as you can see, be utilizing our chat feature during our time here together. Please ask questions, answer questions, interact with our guests, consultants, partners, each other. We really do want to build upon the community that we've started here together. If you will see at the top of your menu, there is a Q&A function. Please utilize that Q&A function because it really helps us keep track of all the questions that you have, and then we'll be able to pop those in and have those be part of our discussion during the Unplugged, where you will get to turn your cameras on, unmute yourself, and ask questions of our panelists and our consultants. We have a packed agenda and I need to get on with it. So we have speakers today who have dedicated their careers to being change makers and culture shakers, and I'm really, really excited for you to meet them. So without further ado, it's my privilege to introduce you to the amazing Della Ludwig, our Central and Southwest Workforce Strategy Consultant and the state lead on Manufacturing Month. So big shout out to Della for all of her work in bringing all of this information to you today and throughout the month of October. Go ahead, Della.
Thank you. Thanks, Jess. Good morning, everyone. Like Jess said, I am the Workforce Strategy Consultant for DEED, Department of Employment Economic Development. I cover Central Minnesota as well as the Southwest. And we have a ton of employers as well as panelists to speak today. So super excited. As you can see, our presentation today is on enhance employee skills with incumbent worker, on-the-job training, and other grant-funded training opportunities, including the Minnesota Job Skills Partnership training opportunities. So we're going to go ahead and pop right into this. And so our introductions are going to take place. We're going to review some of these programs, including OJT and IWT and MJSP. We love our acronyms in this world. And then we're going to do an employer panel discussion, talking to the employers who have actually used these programs so you can get their perspective as well. And then from there, at 12 o'clock, we do a little transition where we talk directly to you and have you ask your questions to the panelists. And you can then discuss how you can use these programs yourself. Today we have our presenters, Angie Dolly from Career Solutions, and a near and dear friend of mine, as well as Tim Zapoy from CMJTS, who just recently became a grandpa. Congratulations, Tim. We hope to hear more about that as well. And then myself. So we're going to jump right into this and start discussing these great programs. And from there, then we will talk to our employers. So I'm going to go ahead and let them take over. Before I do that, I do want to mention that Tim and Angie are part of our Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards. We do have these association or the mob, we call them, throughout the state of Minnesota. And you can see here, I do have the link of those locations and the different groups throughout the state of Minnesota. So not only Tim and Angie, where they're located here in central Minnesota, there are these associations throughout the state as well. So you can also reach out to your local advisors and associations for more information. So here we go. And Angie and Tim.
All right. Can everybody hear me? This is Tim to start off. Everybody okay?
Mhm.
Good.
Yep. Mhm.
All right. So I'm going to jump in then. My name is Tim Zapoy. I'm here at Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, and I'm just very thankful to be joining you today. And I thought it would be okay if you'd allow me to start off with just a little gratitude from my desk and also here to from CMJTS to DEED, in the sense that I'm in my 32nd year with this organization, and I'm just so thankful to have had DEED in my toolbox for so many years. And thanks to Jess Miller for the opportunity and her team to be here with you today. And I just thought I wanted to mention a name from my yesterdays, in the sense that there was a DEED employee named Wayne Anderson. He was my mentor and my measuring stick of goodness and a job well done. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the great folks at DEED, Mr. Anderson, the creator of Tour Manufacturing as well. And then names today, people like Della Ludwig, my longtime partner, Kelly Garrett. I just wanted to say thank you so much to the good folks at DEED. I couldn't do what I've been doing for so long without great partnerships and great people through the state organization. So I just wanted to start with just a little gratitude from my desk today. Then just moving in, and I think that Angie might say some of the same things as we jump in, but just to tell you a little bit about Career Solutions in Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, I would tell you that first off, we're both proud partners at the Minnesota Career Force Center system. We're both proud partners with DEED and the good things that go on from that state department. And I think plainly put, we're all about helping people to find training, to find first, next, and last jobs, and certainly all about helping business and industry to find, train, and keep talented employees. And I like to say that we do all those things with resources, information, and maybe a little hope and inspiration along the way as well. And other important things to note is that we're both not-for-profit employment and training organizations assisting our communities to build a skilled workforce. And between the two of our organizations, we serve 13 counties, and we'll tell you a little bit more, I suspect, about our footprint there. But I'm not going to read all of these line by line kind of things, but wanting you to know it's all about helping the community grow by meeting workforce needs and really helping individuals through career transition to gain meaningful employment. We help with career counseling, job training, and certainly business relationships. And that's what this is all about today. It takes a village, no matter if you're looking to hire people or people looking for jobs, we work together. And we're just very thankful to be at the table with you today. Both of our organizations, we serve, I say, blue collar, white collar, no collar, first job, next job, last job, to include entry level and experienced workers. Both of our organizations have youth programs as well. We're all state and federally funded. We offer services to no cost to business and industry. And both of our organizations also do a lot of grant writing and fundraising because we clearly understand there's always more want, need, and opportunity in the communities that we serve than sometimes some of the precious public monies that we're entrusted to serve our communities with. So Della, that's just a little bit of an intro about the both of our organizations.
Great,
Oh.
thank you so much. And I'll turn it over to Angie.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Angie Dolly. I'm the Business Services Manager for Career Solutions. We are one of the partners of CareerForce in St. Cloud. As Della mentioned, there are about 50 CareerForce locations throughout the state of Minnesota. So the different services that we're going to talk about today are likely offered in a CareerForce location near you. Our primary service area at Career Solutions is Stearns and Benton counties. We are connected to the St. Cloud Technical and Community College up here in St. Cloud. And we have about 25 employees. And actually we're hiring, we just hired 2 more. So we're up to 27. A little bit about me. So I'm the Business Services Manager. I work mainly with businesses on recruitment, training, retention, resources and strategies. I facilitate an HR networking group. I do our marketing here at Career Solutions, and I'm also involved in different workforce development events in the community, like career fairs and other events. So I will turn it over to Tim.
Okay. And I think that
Oh.
we should be at this about CMJTS slide, whoever's driving the bus on the slides. If we could get it to
Sorry.
the about CMJTS, I would like the opportunity to tell folks just a little bit about our organization. And while they're getting the slide, there we go. So first off, just a quick thank you then to Dina Warnos, the CEO here at Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, also to Leslie Watowitz, my manager, for the opportunity to join you. Then a little bit about Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services. We're a not-for-profit employment and training organization, and again, a proud partner in the CareerForce Center. We've spent the last 40 years providing quality training, career guidance, and job placement services for thousands of people across central Minnesota. We're a part of the Workforce Development Area 5, and we serve 11 counties in central Minnesota, and I'll just rattle them off for you really quickly. Chisago, Isanti, Kanabec, Candy, Ojai, McLeod County, Meeker County, Mille Lacs, Pine, Renville, Sherburne, and Wright counties. And I focus a lot of my work here in the Sherburne and Wright County areas. I'm blessed to serve with 2 other great business service folks, both Rebecca Perotti and Bridget Paulson, both of them here today. And together we share this mission of where workforce skills meet opportunity here at CMJTS. So that's just a little bit about our organization. And then much like Angie, I do a lot of similar things. Together, we really try to elevate communities, whether it be the workers or business and industry. We both do HR groups and lots of different business contacts and events and job fairs. I do a local radio program where I'm always singing the songs of the CareerForce Center and CMJTS. And we'll learn more together about on-the-job training, incumbent worker training, and some other tools that are in your toolbox today. Thank you. Okay. Now, I think I get to keep the ball still, and it's great to talk about lots of tools in the resource in the toolbox today. We're going to be talking about a couple of different things. Incumbent worker training, it's a great tool to upskill your current workers. We also want to share the good word about what is called on-the-job training. That's also a great tool, but yet it's different in the sense that it's designed to onboard and help develop your new hires. So it's a little bit of a distinction then between your current workers and your new hires. Then we're also going to talk about some of the other, maybe not necessarily grant funded, but certainly resources and tools available in your toolbox. We'll talk more about the things that we can offer you in business and industry, our partners. We do job fairs, hiring events, and offer up lots of different community contacts. Angie and I both offer a monthly HR group. We'll tell you more about what that's all about. We've got a professional development and networking group. Both Angie and I have school connections and connections into school events. And we both are engaged in different community groups as well. I have the fortune of being on the board of directors with Central Minnesota Manufacturers Association, and along with Della. And I know that for myself, I serve a group called Wright County Economic Development Partnership. I know that Angie is active in Benton County's economic development area as well. So just a lot of different things. But today we're going to focus on incumbent worker training and on-the-job training, and happy to answer any questions as we go.
Great. Thanks, Tim. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk to you about the Incumbent Worker Training Program. So for those businesses that are on the call, like I mentioned before, even if you're not in the counties that Tim and I serve, the different trainings that we're talking about today are likely offered in your area. And if you need to reach out to one of us to get those contacts, we'd be happy to help with that. So incumbent worker training, it's basically financial assistance for businesses to upskill their existing employees or their current workforce. So it's not for brand new hires, it's for existing workers. It can be used to either help avert a potential layoff of employees. An example of this would be, we actually had a company come to us. They were downsizing one of their departments, but they wanted to keep their employees on and move them into another department within their company. So we were able to provide some training to upskill them into another area. Incumbent worker training, or IWT, can also be used to help obtain the skills necessary to retain employment, such as increasing the skill levels of employees so they can be promoted within the company and create backfill opportunities for less skilled employees, which overall increases efficiency, productivity, and success of the business. So the overall purpose of incumbent worker training is to improve the skills of a business's workforce and to improve the company's business process and competitiveness. So we are governed under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or we call it WIOA. It's a landmark legislation designed to strengthen and improve our public workforce system and to increase the employer's ability to retain skilled workers. So through this legislation, we are allowed to use up to 20% of our dislocated worker funds to put towards the incumbent worker training. So that's where the funding comes from. So I'm going to go over a few of the eligibility criteria for businesses as well as the trainees or employees. So as a business, in order to be eligible for incumbent worker training, they must be registered with the state of Minnesota, be in continuous operation for at least 12 months prior to the application, not be in the process of a layoff. And then we just ask that businesses describe any other grants that they have maybe applied for, just so that we know that they're only getting reimbursed once for each training. So there's also eligibility for the trainees or the employees who are going through the training. These are fairly easy to meet as well. They need to be at least 18 years of age or older. They need to earn at least minimum wage or higher. They need to work at least 32 hours per week, be with the employer for at least 6 months or longer, unless we are doing a cohort where all the employees are doing the same training, then the majority or 51% must be with the business for at least 6 months or longer. And of course, they need to be committed to attending the trainings for which they're selected and cooperate with our data collection on our end. There's some paperwork, some enrollment paperwork that we gather for each of the trainees to be able to do the incumbent worker training. So the incumbent worker training program is a reimbursement program. So the employer must complete an application to be considered, and depending on which area you're in with the state, like in Stearns and Benton counties, we have our application on our website, but you can check with your location. So matching funds are required from each business for the incumbent worker training. So if you have a business with 50 workers or less, you are responsible for 10% of the total training cost. 51 to 100 workers, it'd be 25%. More than 100 workers, it'd be 50%. However, in-kind contributions such as trainees' wages, benefits, things like that can go towards the amount owed. So most of the time with my experience, the employer isn't left with much to cover, and usually the wages and benefits cover that the total percentage that's owed from the employer, if that makes sense. So the type of training that's allowed, we do not limit to the specific kind of training, but it does need to be skills-based, job-related, and result in a certificate. It could include industry or business-specific skills or technical skills. And then here is a list of just a few examples of acceptable trainings and some trainings that are not supported. Leadership and management training tends to be a popular one. Seems like a lot of businesses will promote from within, maybe promote somebody from the floor to a supervisor or management type of position, and then they realize later that they maybe don't have the management skills that they were hoping for. So that's a popular one. HR certification, lean training, training for new equipment, computer skills, and other training that would make a trainee a better candidate for promotion. And then the trainings that are not supported would be trainings that are already legally required for your business to maintain compliance, continuing education credits, post-secondary degree training, non-job related training or assessments. So overall, when you're training your employees, it shows that you're investing in your people. You care about them. You want them to stay. You want them to learn and grow. It helps with increasing employee retention, filling skill gaps, ensuring employee skill set won't become obsolete, builds a good culture, boosts morale, and can enhance employee motivation, satisfaction, and productivity. So in our area, and this is going to be similar and throughout the state, the process, you review the guidelines, which I just did, and then submit your application. If approved, there's enrollment paperwork, and then you turn in attendance records, turn in copies of certificates, and then we reimburse the employer for the training costs at the very end. And then here are just a few of the employers in central Minnesota that we have done incumbent worker training with. You can see it's a variety of employers, a lot of manufacturers. And then here's a few testimonials. And I am going to turn it over to Tim, and he's going to talk about on-the-job training.
Okay. Thank you, Angie, and well done as far as explaining the value of incumbent worker training and how that can really be I think, good medicine, if you will, for your company, for your culture, for your employees. And we're certainly happy to answer questions at the end of this. Shifting gears on you just a little bit to a new or different topic called on-the-job training. A little different in the sense that incumbent worker, just by definition, is just that. It's for your current employees. On-the-job training is something just a little bit different in the sense that it's a proven method for job placement and new employee development. It helps to bridge the gap between experience and opportunity. And I'm happy to tell you more about this cost-effective tool, a way to onboard and upskill your new hires. We'll learn more about it. It's a win-win sort of an arrangement. Your new employee earns while they learn those skills that are unique to your organization, unique to your industry. And of course, your company wins in the sense that you're going to get some help to your bottom line investments of onboarding and upskilling new talent. It's called on-the-job training services, and we'll go to the next slide. Some mechanics around this and why it is. There we go. Couple of things I wanted to point out on here. It says that it's a contract then between CMJTS and Career Solutions and the business that documents the training that they will provide for a new employee. I've been at it 30 years, folks, and I've never really been a big fan of that word contract in the sense that it's not necessarily a binding sort of agreement, but yet it is sort of an agreement that says, yes, we share the same goal of helping a person to find, train, and keep a job, and your goal of finding, training, and keeping a great employee. Of course, if things don't work out, of course, we like to try to mitigate things that might be barriers to successful entry and retention into employment. We can do those things through some of our career counseling services and other things, but I just want you to know that it's a mutually shared agreement, and we can use the contract word today, but not I think in an important way that helps us understand the nature of the word. So I wanted to be distinctive with that. And then some other components talk about hands-on training that's designed, again, to address the gap between the new employee's existing skills and the job skill requirements. The training funds or the dollars that you would receive are reimbursed through the state and federal employment and training programs that both of our organizations administer. And again, it's really helping to find, train, and keep great employees and helping to try to find, train, and keep great jobs. A win-win for business and industry. Some things around this then is that the folks that are eligible for on-the-job training must meet eligibility criteria with both of our organizations. And a lot of those criteria have a lot to do with income status and employment status. So I think Angie and I would both tell you, if you're talking to applicants that tell you that they've been downsized, they've been laid off, they've been unemployed or underemployed, those are kind of your key words that maybe some of those folks are going to be eligible then for some of these on-the-job training dollars through both of our organizations. And again, it's for people that are looking for a first, next, or last job. We do them for professional jobs, blue-collar jobs, and kind of everywhere in between. I think a big one to keep in mind is it talks about employers do the training, employees do the learning, and we do the paperwork. So that mention of paperwork, there is a little bit of paperwork involved, and we both, I think, would request if you can allow us some time to get together with your new employee and knock out some of the paperwork. So maybe give us not more than a week to get those things together before your new employee would start their new job with you. Next slide. So a little bit more on some of the guidelines. Again, it's an incentive that provides training and supervision for a new employee. And on-the-job training or OJT contracts can be written for full-time jobs of at least 30 hours a week. We can't necessarily do them for seasonal or temporary jobs. And the trainees, again, must meet those eligibility criteria of income-based or employment-based sorts of criteria. And our on-the-job training agreements must be negotiated and signed with you, the business, before your new employee starts the job for it to be valid. And I don't want to scare you off with this mention of paperwork. It's our job, Angie and I, to come to your table with the lion's share of the paperwork done. And I wanted to mention, too, that some of the paperwork involves creating a training plan, essentially identifying what that new hire needs to know and who's going to teach it to them. And that process can be really easy in the sense that we've learned how to create training plans from existing job descriptions. And if you don't have a job description, oftentimes the creation of an on-the-job training plan will yield a job description for you. So that's just a little bit about some of the benefits and the purpose of on-the-job training, and we'd be happy to tell you more about them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You guys did a great job. Great overview. I even learned a few things, even after 9 years in my position. So phenomenal information. We'll be asking you some questions shortly in our Unplugged. So stay tuned. I really appreciate it. And I am going to do a quick overview. And I don't know why, but it's a little sticky today and doesn't want to like move forward when it should. So I apologize for that. I'm going to just do a quick overview. Our MJSP team, our training team, was not able to participate today. So bear with me as I juggle a little bit. Oh, Tim, did you have something you wanted to add?
I don't know. I hate to do this, but Della, I don't know if I missed a screen or what, but I wanted to go back really quickly, and I know that the clock is running fast, but I wanted to mention again, OJT benefits to the business. So again, I talked about the fact that you're going to get 50% wage reimbursement. I didn't talk much about that. I wanted to mention, and oftentimes the reimbursement period is 3 to 6 months. We know going in that nobody's ever an expert in 3 to 6 months on the job, but why not let's get them around the block on some of the core competencies of the work as many times as we can throughout that reimbursement period. So I am sorry for dragging us back into the world of OJT there, but I forgot to mention some of those specifics. So thank you, Della.
No worries, Tim. It was probably my mouse sticking, so I apologize too if I did skip over it. It was probably my bad. So thank you for adding that, and it will be in the PDF that is sent out as well. So we'll make sure that we cover that again in our when we go through everything at the end as well. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the deed grants that are available, and this is the MJSP Partnership Program grants. So I don't know if we want to take Tim off the main screen and let him take a little break for a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and do the MJSP Partnership Program. And we're going to focus on the top 3 of these grants: the ATIP, the Automation Training Incentive Program, the JTIP, the Job Training Incentive Program, and the Minnesota Job Skills Partnership Program. Now, there's been a few little changes from the beginning of the year when we went through legislation. So we just haven't gotten all the finalizations and all the final blessings on these. So you are going to see a few little changes on these coming up very shortly. But I'm going to go ahead and explain them as they currently are. And then maybe have a few little surprises for you as well. So Automation Training Incentive Program, we call it ATIP. Again, we love our acronyms, and we have a lot of these being thrown into the chat too, with all of the little links that you can go ahead and find. This is if you have under 150 employees at your location, and these are full-time employees, and you are getting new automated equipment at your location, and you need to train those employees. You can go ahead and apply for training those employees on how to use that equipment. And that is up to $35,000 for your business. So it's a great opportunity, since you're getting that equipment anyways, to go ahead, and you're going to be training those employees anyways, to be able to get reimbursed for that equipment and that e-training. So definitely look into that. It's a great opportunity. We can go ahead and set that up for you. You can reach out to your workforce strategy consultant, and I will be getting you the information specifically on your MJSP contact. Job Training Incentive Program. This is if you are a growing business. This is a phenomenal opportunity if you are hiring 3 or more new employees within your organization and you are growing and prospering. We want to make sure that it's an incentive for you when you are doing those new hires within your organization. You can get a grant up to $200,000 for those new positions. It says between $5,000 and $9,000 per new job, and that is because it's based on the wages of that new hire or that new employee, and that's why why it's a sliding scale on what those wages or that reimbursement is for you. And again, that is a great opportunity. Both the ATIP and the JTIP are always open. There are no deadlines for you to apply for them. So you can always be constantly be applying for them. And they are open all the time and are approved usually within a few weeks, if not a month. It's a very quick turnaround. The application process is very simple. And if you forget to dot an I or cross a T, the team is very good at working with you and making sure that that paperwork is completed correctly. See, I can't even do it for me. And then the MJSP Partnership Program. This is one of my absolute favorite programs for businesses. And this is the most fun one, I think, for businesses. And this is for upskilling and training your workers. So we've already talked about on the job training. If you have a new employee, we have the incumbent worker training, and that is to upskill your workers. This one is like the icing on the top. This is up to $400,000. The legislation just increased this to $500,000. So you're going to be seeing the new paperwork coming out for this very soon. With that increase up to $500,000 for businesses to upskill their workers. So you work with a educational institution. So you work with St. Cloud Technical College or South Central or whoever that college is in your area, and they apply for the grant and they write that with you. Now it's not a degree or a specific certification within that organization or that institution. It's training that you specifically need at your business. So you need to upskill your leadership. You need safety training. You need a little bit of this training and you need a little bit of that training. You can do overall upgrades throughout your entire company. And you do not need to take the full $400,000 or $500,000. We do have a short form where you can do $50,000 and start small and just do a small upgrade within your company. Or you can go big and go for like 250,000 or 500,000. This one does have specific deadlines and it is open 3 times a year. And this one is it's not as much work on the business. There still is, because you have to work with the institution and they have to write the grant for you. But the institution is responsible for the grant with you. And this is, again, one of my favorites that I want all of you to be aware of. And I want the Q&A to blow up and ask questions. And clicker. I want to be like I Dream of Jeannie. Okay, and MJSP, here are your contacts throughout the state. And you can see like Danielle Crescent, she covers the most northern part, and you can see like they have like their regions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see like she's mostly the northern part of the state. And then Vicki is mostly the southern part of the state. So again, we will be sending this out. You can reach out directly to them. And if you're not sure, reach out to your workforce strategy consultant or reach out directly to me and I can make sure that you are directed to the right person on these specific training programs. And now we're going to turn it over to the people who have actually used these grants and these programs and learn more about what they have done and how they have put these programs in place. So we are going to meet Steve Gertz from Von Ruden, and Von Ruden is located in Buffalo, Minnesota, and he's going to talk a little bit more about his organization. We're going to meet Jill Campa she's the president at Sunburst Memorials here in St. Cloud. And then we're going to meet Jason Pepler and Brian Gray, and they are from, let me try it, Knobelsdorf in and they are from southern Minnesota, and they are from Goodhue, from the city of Goodhue and the county of Goodhue. So we're going to turn it over, and I'm going to shut off our, stop sharing the screen for a little bit, and we're going to have a little bit of a conversation. So let me go ahead and switch here. So how are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic,
Great.
thank you.
Good. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with Steve. And Steve, do you want to give me a little bit of a background on yourself and your organization, and tell us why you decided to join us today? And I think you're on mute, so let me unmute you. Oh, maybe you have to do it. You try it again. We're having some trouble there. We'll work on Steve. I don't know if Shayla can help Steve a little bit. And then I'm going to switch over to Jill if you want to start and do a little introduction on yourself while we work on Steve.
Sure, you can hear me.
There we go.
Jill Campa, as Della said, from Sunburst Memorials here in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
The mic is on now.
Okay, just 1 second, Steve. Perfect.
Sorry.
We are a granite manufacturer here in central Minnesota. So granite headstones celebrating the lives of those who have passed. We are going through an expansion about 3 months into my job here. My boss came to me and said, we're expanding. We're building a 40,000 square foot manufacturing facility. With that manufacturing facility came the creation of jobs and also the need to invest in our current team. One, because it's the right thing to do, and two, to upskill them on some new opportunities that will be provided in our new building. And so with that, we have applied and been granted twice now the Incumbent Worker Training Program grant, as Angie said, to upskill our current team. And I'm sure I'll be asked questions and can talk a little bit more about that in a bit.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jill. Steve, we're going to hop back to you. And why
Yep.
don't you tell us a little bit more about Von Ruden and your background?
Okay, sure. My background, I started my career with a 2-year technical degree and associate degree at Minnesota West Community College in Granite Falls, Minnesota, for fluid power and robotics. And that is what we are making here, is hydraulics. So that's how I started. And in the early 2000s, then I saw the value of continuing my own education. So I did it on my own as I worked. As I saw opportunities open up in leadership, et cetera, kind of shooting for that goal, and I made it. I'm now the operations manager. So I really can contest for the value of the continued training to grow the workforce, because I've done it myself.
Wonderful.
Yep. We started
Wonderful.
here, Von
Okay.
Ruden, in 89, and I came with them in 89, 90 and helped move equipment and people from the existing location, which was WSI in Long Lake. And I was at the start of the ground floor startup, which was exciting. We've come a
That's
long
pretty-
way. Yep. And growing employees internally, so valuable. We've seen it time and time again. So that's why I really, really speak highly of the Incumbent Worker Training Program and OJT.
That's great. And you've been able to take advantage of both. And that's really
Yes.
cool. Your company's been in place since 1946, and then
Yep.
1989, it became family owned, which is
Yes.
really cool. I can't wait to
Yep.
hear more about that.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Steve. And
Yes,
now we're going
great.
to turn it over to Brian and Jason. They had to give me a couple lessons on how to say Knobelsdorf, which seems like a phenomenal company. And I want to learn more. They have a phenomenal apprenticeship program, and that's why we have 2 of them on there. So Jason, if you want to introduce yourself first, and then we're going to go ahead and kick it over to Brian and do a quick little introduction about your organization. And then Brian, if you want to talk a little bit more about the apprenticeship program, that would be great.
Absolutely. Thank you, Della, and thank you for the opportunity. I want to wish everybody a great morning. I'm glad that you could join us today. My name is Jason Pepler, as Della shared, and I here lead the learning and development team and partner with Brian, who you'll meet here shortly. Just a great opportunity for us to grow and develop our team within the organization. I've been in this learning and development space for just over 25 years, and I've had a chance to travel internationally and develop programs really across the globe and in a number of different sectors and such. And the common theme that comes back to that is, and why I do what I do, is I just love that development scale side of things. I love the opportunity to be in front of people, to work side by side with them, and just really help them grow and develop, their skills and abilities along the way. So exciting opportunity here. We have a young learning and development team with a really strong leader on the apprenticeship side with Brian. And we've been able to leverage the MJSP grant to support our growth. So lots of great things happening here. So with that, I'll turn it to Brian.
Thank you very much, Jason, and good morning to all. I am very, very happy to be able to be a part of this. A little background on myself. I'm a master electrician by trade, and I've been with Knobelsdorf for 12 years. A little input on that is, when I started with the company, there was only 14 employees, and I was one of those 14. 12 years later, we are now about 650 strong. And that is a huge compliment, not only to the company and the leadership there, but also their investment in their people. And we are one of those outfits that Della had mentioned. We have utilized the MJSP grant. So it is a tremendous opportunity, and I can't wait to answer a whole bunch of questions that you have as it goes with that. A little bit more on the apprenticeship real quick is, we started out with the MJSP grant 2 years ago, and we kicked off the electrical program and the apprenticeship. And then that has grown since then into 4 fully functional apprenticeship programs to include not only electrical, but also lineman, laborer, and heavy equipment operator. So with the MJSP grant, it's given us the opportunity to utilize the state funds to help grow our business, develop our people, and just so much more. So I'll kick it back, and we'll answer more questions as they come through.
Awesome, Brian. So you talked about the MJSP partnership grant, and you've received it 2 times now. So it's obviously been working for you. It's been super successful. You've built a really good program, obviously going from 14 to 650 employees. Obviously, something is working there at your organization. What would you say with your program? How'd you implement this partnership grant, and what did you use those funds for?
So the original integration of the MJSP grant was through a networking connection with one of our employees and an employee from South Central College. And that connection, that networking had given us the opportunity to learn about MJSP and go from there. The first grant that we had was primarily focusing on empowering our people, training our people, and developing our people within NFPA 70E, electrical arc flash and lockout tagout training to help make our workforce safer. And our primary core value is safety, so we wanted to focus on that. We also developed our safety team big time with EMR training. We did TWI, that's training within industry, OSHA 511 trainer, leadership training, strengths finders, and so much more, including the apprenticeship program. And one of our biggest thing is, if we can train our people to have a safe and understanding of how electricity works, especially for the electricians that are working on it, it not only makes them safer, but it also alleviates the stress that is put upon the journey persons that have to work with these electricians, the apprentices, as we're giving them some education. And so then when they hit the field, they can hit the ground running, if you will.
I love it. And I love that you were visionaries in putting this in place. That was really cool that you guys did that and how you put that in place. Jill, I'm going to pop back to you and just talk a little bit of how you how you kind of put some of these things in place. You had received some funding from the state of Minnesota. You were JCF, Job Creation Funds. program, ED Economic Development Project recipient. And then from there, made some contacts throughout the community and connected with Angie with Career Solutions. You have taken, have put in place the incumbent worker a couple times. Why did you decide to use that, and how has it helped with your organization?
Yeah, I just want to pause for 1 second. So I know a lot of us on here are manufacturers, and these programs are for everyone. I was just talking to someone who a small business owner of a finance firm in our organization or in our community, and she was talking about some skills that they needed for Excel and some upskilling. And I was like, "Have you heard of incumbent worker training for your existing team?" And she's like, "What?" So I just want to point out that these programs are for anyone to continue to create successful jobs and team members in our communities. So with us, we had a couple different initiatives. One was leadership development. We have a young green team, and several of them were interested in leadership. So the St. Cloud Community and Technical College was offering a supervisor training course to expose people who are interested in that too. So we invested in about 8 individuals who have shown interest in that sector of their career. And so we did that training program. They received a certificate from the college, and they were so thankful to invest, that we were investing in them. And it also gave them the confidence to apply for different positions and have exposure to what they think a supervisor does and maybe what a supervisor does. So that was good exposure, especially coming from someone outside. It's sometimes means more than, someone inside telling you. Additionally, we have a large initiative for continuous improvement within our organization and lean manufacturing. And so we wanted to make sure all of our team members, not just our operations team, are exposed to the lean principles. And so we were able to expose, now we are at about 80% of our team to lean. And that's everything from lean is about just making your environment around you better and more efficient. So that starts from the office to the shop floor. And so we've rolled out those principles to our team as well. And then lastly, upskilling some of our management team on financial acumen. So we participated in a course through the University of Minnesota Continuous Education, and sent a couple of our managers there to understand more about balance sheets, income statements, all of that stuff. So those were some of the things we've done so far, and we're excited to activate our second grant this fall.
That is phenomenal, especially with your growing of your business and adding on. That is absolutely wonderful. And Steve, you have
Yes.
actually taken have had the opportunity to take on both on-the-job training and incumbent worker training. But with on-the-job training, how in your relationship with Tim and Bridget and the whole CMJTS team, how easy was it to put the program in place? And what are some of the benefits of using these programs?
Yeah, it really was easier. At first, it's intimidating with the amount of paperwork that it looks like you have to do, that you do have to do. But the resource that with Tim and Bridget and Angie available, they were so helpful and they guide you through it. And my message to anyone who wants to try it out, go for it. Don't let the paperwork side intimidate you. It's well worth it in the end. The OJT, I utilized that it was early 2000s. It's been a while, but we had an influx of new hires. So it was a grand program to give us the time, like Tim said, that 3 to 6 months to really focus on the new hires. And during the time a new hire is learning, they are inefficient, reasonably so, because they don't know the job well. So it really, to have that funding help you through that is so valuable. And on the incumbent worker side, that's now the most recent programs I've used. Being a small company, we have 30 employees, so much fewer than Knobelsdorf, but we have 30 employees. And currently I have 2 that are in incumbent worker training. But this year has been a fairly down year for us in manufacturing, and budgets are tight, especially with a small company. So there's no way I could have got the training approved for these 2 without this program. Because when you're slow, budgets are tight, you don't want to spend any extra money, so you wait, then you get busy, then you don't have the time to train. So it's the value of this program is really, really good.
I love it.
Yes.
And what we're going to be doing now is we're just going to do a quick transition, and we're going to be asking some more questions in just a few minutes. And I'm going to be transitioning this real quickly. And thank you so much for already the Q&A that's taken place. And I'm going to be handing it off to James. So James, are you available?
Yes, Stella, thank you so much. This was really great. There's a ton of information here to absorb, and I know a lot of people have questions, so I just want to remind everybody as we enter into our Unplugged session of today, that if you have questions, please, as we enter in, feel free to turn your cameras on, turn your microphone on, and ask questions directly to our panelists. If you don't feel like doing that, you can always throw them into chat, and our team will make sure that we get them asked. So once again, thanks so much, Della, for this, and thanks to everybody who joined us. This is so great. Before we move on, I also want to remind everybody to complete our post-event survey, which should be thrown into the chat. I'm believing multiple times today, but it'll also be sent in a follow-up email. We use your feedback to kind of direct where we're going to go with these Workforce Wednesday events into the new year, into even next month. So please let us know how you feel and what you think and what you want to see, because that will direct what you're going to see in the future. And then finally, I wanted to invite everybody to register for next month's Workforce Wednesday, which is happening on November 5th. That's the Indigenized Employer, Welcoming, Growing, and Sustaining Native Talent in Minnesota. It's one of those, the Native Indigenous workforce is one of those secret superstars that Minnesota has in its back pocket. And it's one of those things that makes Minnesota higher than average. We'll discuss how to recruit, retain, and grow this amazing workforce while honoring culture, while respecting history and sovereignty. We'll have guests like Dr. Evie Campbell from the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe, Dr. Joe Hobart from the American Indian OIC, and Robert Blake from Native Son, amongst others. So thank you so much again, and please, we hope to see you again next month. Please feel free, you can go to the next slide. Well, please feel free to reach out to your workforce strategy consultant if you have any questions or want to explore consultation opportunities. You know, we don't know what we don't know, and there are a lot of resources and assets out there that align with your workforce strategy that you just might not be aware of. So we might be able to help with aligning those strategies with your business. So please feel free to reach out. And without further ado, I think it's time we go ahead and jump into the Unplugged session. So you can go ahead and feel free to turn off the slide deck if you feel like it, and we can just have all these beautiful faces looking at us, and we can have our audience feel free to jump in. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm still seeing the slide deck. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to throw the first question out to Angie, if that works. Angie, you have so much good information, and I've been honored to work with you a number of times throughout my career, my short career at Deed. But how do you balance meeting employer skill needs with ensuring that the training leads to long-term career growth for employers, or for workers, excuse me? Does that make sense?
Can you actually say that again? I'm going to turn my
Absolutely.
fan off here.
So, you know, we have employers who have very specific, specialized needs. We see that in our conversation today. How do we match those specialized, maybe very proprietary trainings and skill needs with the long-term career growth skills that are needed by employees? Does that make sense? That's an
Sure.
awkward way
Yep.
to say that.
Yep. So we have a variety of initiatives here at Career Solutions. one of the things that I can talk about is our discovery days, which kind of coincide with some of the different training grants that we have, like our Drive for Five and Pathways to Prosperity. So with our discovery days, those are events for job seekers to attend. We have, so for example, we have a welding discovery day, a CDL discovery day. So we have an employer panel at these events, and then we open it up for job seekers to come. And it's kind of twofold. They get to talk to employers. They also get to do hands-on activities in the field. So like with welding, they do a welding project while they're there. With the CDL Discovery Day, they get to climb into a semi truck and do a pre-trip inspection and all of that. So we really try to get job seekers interested to see where their skills are and what the needs are with employers. And we do the employer surveys and so that's one example. We also have other initiatives. We have a Career One summer youth program where we've got about 170 youth that learn all about leadership skills, teamwork, what it's like to show up on time and communicate to your supervisors. And then we have employers participate in that program as well. They're helping with mock interviews and presentations and tours of their facilities. And so those are just a couple initiatives. We have lots of different things going on, but those are a few things I can think of.
When I think about right away on your website, you talk about labor market information and data and you being a source for that for employers. So it sounds like you're really taking advantage of the labor market information with regard to like careers in demand and then looking at outlooks into the future and aligning those. That's hard work. I'm going to throw the next question to Jill, if that's okay, kind of piggybacking on this idea of value. Jill, how do you, as a leader, how do you measure whether training investments are truly paying off beyond just the productivity you see from a day-to-day basis? Like, how do you see that in your employees?
I would say retention and turnover, as well as culture and engagement. So, the more people feel seen and not, as a number, as a transactional, results in them showing up at work, their best selves, and being engaged and not looking elsewhere. So that's how we measure that. Also, I would say internal growth and development within internal promotions. How much talent are we bringing up and then bringing in to backfill? So those are a couple different things we look at internally.
And by bringing up, you mean like succession planning and
yes,
that sort of
yes.
thing?
Like this, we have a supervisor position open and someone on the shop floor is ready because we've helped them be ready for that type of a position.
That's, I would say probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I remember that being the big key, like the big hype word, right? Succession planning, and nothing really seemed to come from it. I wonder if that had something to do with COVID kind of sidelining everything. But do you see your organization, maybe even other organizations, thinking about succession planning differently than they did a few years ago? Or is it pretty much, are you still feeling like that's kind of a consistency with regard to what you do?
I think with succession planning, less talk, more action. So talking about succession planning and identifying people is important, but more importantly is creating a plan for them to be ready for those roles and giving them the opportunities. And that's what the incumbent worker program can help you lay out, is if you have identified someone in your organization, what are their gaps that you need to help build in order to get them ready for that.
Wow, that's great. Thanks for bringing it back around again to our training programs. You mentioned a good point. When I think about sometimes these underrepresented or marginalized employees, they sometimes don't have the opportunity to see themselves within leadership roles or feel that they have a place in upper management or even middle management. So I want to throw this next question out to Steve, if that's okay with you, sir.
Sure.
Just thinking about how that idea of succession and upskilling and upward mobility can change the perspective of an entire organization. In your opinion, how have training programs shifted the culture at Van Rooten? And I'm not just talking skills, but I'm talking about how employees actually feel about the company.
Yeah, our culture here, being a family-owned business, they see the value we see in them, and not just as, okay, you're an employee, but to put in the time and effort to identify, here's the potential, here's where you could get if you do this, this, and this, and then me as a leader organizing that and giving them that opportunity. It just builds the relationship between them, me, us as a company really well. Our turnover here is very, very low. Most is just through retirements, and that's about it. And my responsibility is to see that potential coming and to prep the employees that I feel could fill those spots, and to start the incumbent worker training early on enough to have them experience what they could become really, really sets a lot of value in that.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I see you have a couple questions. Did somebody have a hand up that they wanted to maybe ask a question of our panelists? Did I see a hand up? Anybody? Okay.
I have an example I could give you.
Sure.
If I might. I have one employee here. We're small again, so I'm just going to take one example of the upscaling training we did. This person came with us in '89 as a material handler. So drove a fork truck and moved to bar stock. Then through internal cross training, we got them into, we call it plugging a machine, where they weren't setting up and so much managing the machine, they were managing the parts that it would make. Then I saw the potential in this individual, so we got them training in the actual machine itself. We moved them to a CNC, an automated equipment, and they then became a CNC machinist, and then expressed interest in programming it. And they are now our primary engineer that programs the very machines that they ran years ago.
Wow.
Just a grand example. And incumbent worker training, I ran them through probably 3 sessions throughout the years of that training to get them where they are. So that's the importance of doing that.
It sounds like a lot of engagement on your part, Steve. How do you?
It is.
How do you decide what employees, or what do you look for in employees for that upward mobility opportunity?
You can see it right away. You should be able to read the employee, if you will, the personality, the drive, and we call them in our industry informal leaders. When you have informal leaders, those that kind of take over, want to lead, and they're not supposed to yet, but they want to. We see that, and those are the ones you hone, because you know what they can become. And not everybody has that. Not everybody does. And that's okay. Yeah, that's all right.
Sounds like you're talking about my coworkers, actually. I love that. Okay. Jason, can I throw the next question your direction?
You sure can.
So again, we're talking about how this training program, OJT and Incumbent Worker Training Program, have all these residual effects across the organization, not only for succession, but employee satisfaction, attendance, punctuality, all of that stuff. How do you ensure your training programs don't just upskill workers, but prepare them to be leaders within your organization?
Yeah, it's a great question. I appreciate it. So we are building really at a foundational level our learning through the organization, and in particular, to answer your question directly on the leadership side, we've identified levels of leaders. So I know there's been reference here to, high potential or individuals that are preparing for a leadership role. It's important that we identify those individuals. We partner with our divisional leaders across the business to understand, what individuals are interested in. We are in the process of building some of those programs to support their development. And what's really we appreciate on the NJSP grant side of things, specifically in the grant that we're currently in that started this year, is we have the opportunity to really focus on those emerging leaders, the newer leaders to our organization, or those that are maybe in the past been in a non-leadership role and are moving into a leader. I use the phrase, peer today, boss tomorrow. Sometimes we have individuals that do really, really well in a non-leader role, and then they're moved into a leadership role, and we don't provide the right skills and opportunities to really develop. So we're focusing really hard on that space. In particular, we want to make sure that we prepare our newest of leaders or those coming into the organization to be successful in what it is that they're doing. So in terms of measuring that, it's partnering with our business. I know, Jill, you referenced as well, looking at attrition and all of those factors and such. So, we're building a process around that that is just going to be crucial to our success, and the grant's going to help us really move that forward faster. And then you partner that on the apprenticeship side. I think Brian is a wonderful example. We talked about career path and, the growth around it. Brian, and I'll let him share a bit more on that. But, coming up through our organization, in the field as an electrician, a journeyman, and into now a manager role. So, just a great opportunity for that growth, and, we're building that throughout our organization.
There's kind of a line in the sand, isn't there, when you kind of enter in, you cross that line into a leadership role where I think there's a number of people probably in this room that have had a little bit of a burn situation happen because trying to, work with peers in the same way they used to. You talked about this leadership training. What kind of skills are you developing in that training program?
Yeah, so there's several areas. First and foremost, and we really need to look at somebody that aspires to grow. One of our main themes, or in a sense a drive that we have in our organization, we call it Own It. We want to own it. So own how you show up each day, own your role, own the project that you're in, own the day and the initiatives that you're set forth in, own the meeting that you're a part of, just really owning that overall experience. And we want to make sure that's first and foremost as a driver here. We've adopted a philosophy of extreme ownership from the Echelon Front team, again, aligned with that own it philosophy overall. And so we want to make sure that individuals are focused in that direction. And then the other side of it is we want to make sure that we're providing, additional resources and some of the trainings around providing effective coaching and what does feedback look like, making individuals giving them opportunities as they come through to be active participants. I have a kind of a phrase I use sometimes. You want to be a good golfer. Well, you can read a book on golfing. That doesn't make you a good golfer. We need to get to the driving range. We need to get on the course. So we want to make sure that we're providing individuals with the opportunity to really practice and grow their skills. What does that look like? How do we give them those opportunities, both in the training experience or if it's an online course that they're participating in, but then doing a real life scenario, kind of getting hip to hip and asking the questions, and let's role play, let's practice that. That's an important piece. And we want individuals that can come along that journey with us on that.
You're so right. You're reflecting what Steve said earlier. You're kind of reflecting what Steve said earlier about, how talk versus action, they're so different, right? And that really is reflected within, our employees can see that. Right. And they recognize that when you're just checking a box versus whether you're really working to make something good and better. But you mentioned Brian's apprenticeship program. So Brian, can I ask you the next question? Jason mentioned that idea of ownership, which I think is very, very important. How do you keep your apprentices motivated, engaged, maintaining that sense of ownership through the ups and downs of learning a new job?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges with the apprenticeship program is keeping them engaged. They're all, everybody's really excited to start out the year and get into the curriculum, and then they hit the first test and they're like, yeah, crap. And then it's keeping up the motivation. So I stay energized. I'm one of the instructors in the program. We actually have 12 classes across our four our 4 apprenticeships. And with those 12 classes, we have to have all the instructors. I unfortunately don't have enough time in the day or the evening to do them all. So I have orchestrated with the organization to hire adjunct instructors as part of the MJSP grant. That is a huge part of it. Is those instructors are then paid by the MJSP grant, and we put these folks in those classes, and we pay their wage for when we say it's mandatory for a portion of our apprenticeship program. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty there. We don't have that much time, but it's inspiring them as to say, this is where you can be. The information that you're getting today is going to advance you in your career exponentially faster than it would be if you just went out in the field and started working without going into class. So this time that you're spending in class, say it's an electrical apprenticeship program, it's 4 years. The 4 years you spend in class is going to cut off 10 years that you would have had to spend in the field to learn what you're learning in the 4 years that you're spending in the apprenticeship program. So it cuts that time for you to accelerate, to you get better wages, the opportunity to lead people, so on and so forth. And not everybody's a leader. And that's just the way it is. But we in our organization, we try to promote that from a very early on stage. We have a lot of military veterans that work in our organization, and that mindset that the military has is everybody's a leader. We start out that way. We train you to be that way. So that way, when the battlefield promotions happen, you're ready. You're set. You're good to go. You have the tools in the toolbox to be able to hit the ground running, pick that up, and go from that peer to that boss or to that leader, what have you, in a rather easily transitioned area. But yeah, it's really the motivation that we give the students and the apprentices is that the education you're getting today is going to expedite you in yourself in your career, and you're going to be able to go places a lot quicker by receiving this education. And that seems to be working. And when you start talking dollars, their eyes open up, right? I mean, they get excited. And this, we talk about generations. How many generations are in the workforce right now? Is there like 5, 4, 5?
Yeah, I think the
And
lost generation or whatever.
Right. So you're working with, all these different generations, and the older generations, they're more career based and they're focused on a career. And then you got the younger generations that do a lot of job hopping because they want to make the best dollar, the best bang for their buck. That's what they want. So you really got to grab those folks and you got to grab their attention and say, listen, stick with us. We'll get you there. Just give me a second. I'm going to make you the best that you can be.
How do you get them to trust you like that? Just give me a second.
Just look at me, right? I'm very, very trustworthy.
Hey, James, if I
It's
could
you
add,
invest time.
one of the
Your time,
really exciting things we do here to support that, Brian, and excuse me for jumping in, from a trades academy standpoint, as we approach this, one of the things we do here locally in Goodhue, if anybody's familiar, but we have a signing day. So, for example, we partner with local high schools and communities and such, and as individuals are considering a career, and we really want them to consider careers in the trades. This last year we had, I believe it's a dozen high school seniors that, in a sense, signed with us to join Knobelsdorf and make it a career and jump into the apprenticeship program. So it's exciting. There's so many things that are offered in the trades, and we want to make sure that we're promoting that and getting into the communities, getting into the schools at a very young age is an important piece. Going and reading at elementary schools, we do that, and it's just the connection that we have, and we hope that people will understand that great things are here. And then when, for example, somebody wants to come in, and we have now 4 programs within this apprenticeship program, just great opportunities are ahead for career success and career growth. Yeah.
And, I think I shouldn't say we downplay, but I think about it differently now than I did a few years ago. Just the impact or influence parents and grandparents have on a student. And by getting into the community early and by, doing things like Jill does and so forth, you can start to develop that goodwill amongst those multiple generations that Brian was talking about too. I think, wow, that's really great stuff. And you are an ESOP, right? Is that correct? Is one of the organizations with us today an ESOP? Jill, you are. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we are 100% employee owned.
Mm.
So every dollar I spend is not mine. So it's really important to maximize and prioritize what we're spending on and partner with, you know, like incumbent worker or OJT and use those programs out there. So we're really proud of that, but we're also we take our fiscal responsibility serious.
And I'm sure because of that, it's that fiscal responsibility is carried over into all levels of the organization.
Yes.
Tim, I have neglected you this whole workforce or this whole unplugged session. And so
All
I
right.
have a couple of questions for you.
Fire away.
All right. So CMJTS and Career Solutions, if I'm new to the region, after this conversation, my question would be, is there any other difference between your two organizations other than the regionality behind it?
Oh boy, I think that we are the best of friends and organizations that share resources and work together towards similar goals. So I don't know that I'd really want to say that there's a whole lot different other than geography. And I think just maybe a little bit of difference as far as some of maybe the types of businesses between the greater St. Cloud area and some of the geography that CMJTS serves. Maybe some of it's more ag based in our area, but by and large, we're all in tune to our different economies, our different business needs and opportunities. And I think too, maybe some differences in our, again, geography to the north of CMJTS territory, maybe a little bit more recreational, more touristy kind of business kind of thing. So I think if anything, both of our organizations are very much in tune to the types of businesses that we serve, and in turn, the types of career opportunities for the job seekers that we serve. I hope that's a good answer. I think Angie might, would you agree with that, Angie? Yeah.
Yes, I would. And like Tim said, we partner on a lot of different
Yeah.
projects, and we're not in competition because we serve different counties. But we kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and like Tim has an HR networking group, so I attended that, and then we started one in our area, things like that. So it's great to have them close by and to partner on different things.
Yes.
Sharing best practices is what we
Mhm.
do together. Yep, it really helps both of our organizations for sure. We work together.
Definitely.
You mentioned agriculture, Tim. And so I
Yep.
wanted to ask a quick question on that, if I may. You know, I live in the Moorhead area. We're really close to Grand Farm, right? Which is that world's first fully automated farm. We're seeing a lot more technology and precision entering into the agriculture
Yeah.
industry. Are you seeing more opportunities for OJT and incumbent worker training within the agriculture industry than you did a couple years ago?
I would think so. And whether that means plant production or protein production, meat, if you will. I know that some of the work that my partner Bridget's been working on has something to do with agriculture on more the meat side of things. But I think you're right. As technology advances, so does the knowledge and skill base that employers need to have and employees need to have as well. So plenty of opportunity for growth and attaining new knowledge and the use of tools like incumbent worker and on-the-job training for sure.
Oh, that's great. One more question for you, if that's okay.
Yep.
With regard to Knoebelsdorf, they mentioned a couple times on their website just how important non-technical skills are for the roles that they're looking to fill. I noticed that a week from today, you're holding something called the Job Skills Workshop. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what opportunity that might provide for employers?
So I'm going to reach a little bit into the bucket because I'm not as in tune to that particular workshop as you may be there, but I know this much. Both Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services and Career Solutions are all about helping job seekers, whether they be young people or mature workers, know about basic skills of problem solving, communication, work ethics, those sorts of things. And I dare say a lot of that stuff starts at home sometimes too, but yet when it comes out into our organizations, we're able to build on and improve those core core skills and then move into incumbent worker training or on the job training with technical skills. But I think if anything, what we're trying to do is lay the foundation of a solid work ethic and a desire to learn and be productive with the people that we serve at our organizations in effort to better serve our business and industry partners.
Yes. And that, that plays into the whole generational thing too, I think sometimes. And it doesn't have anything to do with, a certain generation or a group of people being less capable in the soft skills side of things. I think of a fact I say a lot to people, and they're probably getting sick of hearing it, that most college graduates today have never answered a phone that wasn't for them. It's not their fault that they've never answered a phone that wasn't for them. It's because of technology and the way things are leading.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that we just, we're stepping up and helping. In that same vein, in that same area, I want to throw the last question we have to Jason. Jason, I noticed that you have something called the Operation Trades Awareness Program going, and you have a $500,000 commitment to that. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so actually, I'm going to defer this to Brian when we talk about Operation Trades Awareness, as it connects directly to our apprenticeship program.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Jason. Operations Trades Awareness is something that we implemented, and we actually partnered with a local TV outfit, KTTC out of Rochester. We had them come to a job site, and Knoblesdorf's stance on Operation Trades Awareness is we don't care which trade you go into, just go into one. Whether it's electrical, plumbing, heating, HVAC, whatever it is, the trades are in dire need of people. I mean, we have a whole bunch of individuals that are retiring, and we have a deficit in the trades. So that's what spurred off, and Jason had alluded to this earlier. We go to kindergartners in our hard hats, in our safety vests.
Wow.
Local schools, we go, within about 30 miles of our location here in Goodhue, and we're branching out. We're actually working in Illinois, and we're starting to branch out in Illinois as well with Operation Trades Awareness, and start talking to these kids and read books. We read books to kindergartners, and they're construction books. They're for their age, and show them the pictures, and they show, hey, listen, these guys are really cool, and they're wearing hard hats and safety vests, where that mindset that the blue collar worker is beneath everybody is an old mindset. That's not the way it is anymore. You can easily make six figures within 4 years of graduating high school, going into the trades, especially the electrical trade. I can speak from that personally. I'm a 22-year veteran electrician here, and yeah, I might have started out at $10.41 an hour, but they don't start at that now. Hike double that, and so it's just that. And then of course we do at the seniors, the graduating seniors and local schools, we go there and we give them toolkits. Some, like you mentioned, some people never had answered a phone that wasn't for them. Some people have never turned a screwdriver. And that's okay. It's just, here's a screwdriver set. Here's a socket set. Here's some tools, you got to go do something. Well, now you have a tool set. Maybe they never had one. So it's the $500,000 is the investment into getting the word out there to the local communities, to the cities, to the different states and whatnot that we work in, to say, hey, listen, the opportunity is there. Go grab it. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to get the debt that is incurred by going to college, because a lot of people use that college degree for not what it is intended to be used for. And maybe they don't use it at all. Whereas you go into the trades, you grab an apprenticeship program, much like the one at Knoblesdorf, where our employees don't pay a dime. The apprenticeship program is 100% free to them. We are that invested into our people so that they don't end up with the debt, where all they get is the positives out of it, as long as they just invest the time. And that's what we preach. And that's what we preach on OJT, or not OJT, excuse me, but OTA is Operation Trades Awareness, is that you can really make a heck of a career for yourself. And, you get your feet wet, you get into the trade, and then guess what? There are so many different avenues. You want to be an electrician, you start out as an electrician, you're like, I really just don't like bending pipe, but I'm really fascinated by those folks over there that are wiring in that panel board or in that controls cabinet. Well, now we can shift them over into our panel shop. Maybe they want to wire panel boards and panel control industrial control panels, or they want to get into automation, or they want to get into engineering. wonderful thing about Minnesota is you get your master's license, you are now a qualified engineer. You know, you don't have to go to many, many years of school to become a double E. You can, you know, go through a 4-year apprenticeship program, get your license, hold your license for a year, and then you go get your master's, and now you can, you know, you're classified and qualified to do engineering work. So there's so many avenues within it, and we just want to get anybody and everybody aware that the trades are a great option and a very, very viable option for a career.
And they're changing quality of life for people. Now, there are people out there that might not see an opportunity to live a life that they really want to live, or even parents don't see that kind of life for their children, but you are providing that as a service. I think that's very beautiful. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we say goodbye for the day?
I have one final thought, and I'd like to share this with everybody that's still here, the strong 56 people that are still with us, and thank you for sticking this out, is, you know, my favorite quote as a trainer, as a developer, my favorite quote is, well, what if you train them and they leave? Fair. Well, what if you don't and they stay? So now you end up with a unqualified, very inefficient workforce. So train them, invest in them, they'll stay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Any other final words?
Stop by
Wow.
Career Solutions or CMJTS will help you. Resources, information, hope, and inspiration for business and job seekers alike. Always free, never a fee.
You're a poet. And absolutely, go visit Angie and Tim. They're great people. They're fun people. They're passionate about what they do. Everybody, thank you so much. Jill, Angie, Steve, Brian, Jason, Tim. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for their audience who stuck around. If you have any questions, reach out to anybody here, to your workforce strategy consultants, and don't forget to fill out that host events survey. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. You
Thank
did a phenomenal
Thank you.
job.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You
Thank
survived.
you for the opportunity.
Appreciate it.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yep, take care.
Thank you, Steve.
You both. Tim, thank you.